Mr. Smith.
All right, we're going to get this thing figured out. What's up? What's good? What's happening? Welcome to the King and Me Show. I'm one half of this thing, King.
Michelle, how y'all doing?
And the King and Me Show is a live stream in which Michelle and I attempt to offer a real healthy relationship, real being relatable,
Entertaining,
accountable,
and loving.
Let's get some logistics out the way. We're streaming across multiple platforms right now, to include TikTok.
TikTok.
We are live on
TikTok.
TikTok. They have finally allowed this thing to be able to be live streamed over there. So it's over on TikTok. Show us some love. Hit that like button. Tap it and send some hearts as we get through this live stream here today. We're also on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, X, Perry Productions Facebook page as well. Shout out to the homie on his platform. And again, if there's a like button on whatever platform that you're watching this on, do us a favor, mash that like button. If you notice, the background's a little bit different.
And our video quality may be a little bit different.
A little bit trash, but we're working on that.
Yeah.
We are in Nashville, Tennessee. We are taking the holiday time period to do some traveling, do some sightseeing, and possibly see some family and friends along the way.
Yeah.
So do you want to let the people know what we'll be doing over the holidays, babe?
Okay. So we are going to several museums. We're going on a museum tour. Tomorrow we're going to be visiting the National Museum of African American Music right here in Nashville, Tennessee. Then on later on this week, we're going to be going to the 3 EJI, so Equal Justice Initiative museums. So it's the Legacy Museum from enslavement to mass incarceration. Then we're going to be going over to the memorial tombs. And then we're going to go over to the sculpture garden, the memory sculpture garden. And then we're also going to Selma to see the Edmund Pettus Bridge. We're going to the Daughters of Gynecology Museum. We may even get an opportunity to check out the Alabama State Capitol building.
Oh, that'd be dope.
So we may, go see that. And then we may, on our way in, out, in, around Mississippi, we may have an opportunity to swing on over to Memphis, Tennessee, come back into Tennessee and go over to Memphis, Tennessee and go to the Lorraine Museum, which is where Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. had his life taken from him. Sorry, I had to find the appropriate
word. That was good. That was good. You made a good pivot.
So we're going to be doing all of that. So again, we're going on a little museum tour of the South, and I'm so excited. Like, I'm such a nerd for museums and education and learning. Like, oh, such a nerd. And low key, I am technically still working kind of because I'm mapping out what I want to be able to do with my students when the Lord gives me the funds to be able to do so. So I'm mapping that all out.
No doubt. Now, let me ask you this.
What's up?
Why is this important to you?
I think the greatest reason why this is important to me is because, number one, I don't feel like this is history that I was taught when I was in school. I am a firm believer that if you don't learn your history, you are doomed to repeat it. And then also, if you don't learn your history, you can't share it with other people. So I wanted to be able to know the things that greatly impacted me and who I am today, plus the things that all of the civil rights movements and everything that Dr. King, Malcolm X, Medgar Evers, because I'm currently reading his book right now, all of those different things that they fought for, that they literally died for. Robert Kennedy and their deaths, their life to be in vain. So I want to learn this history so that I can educate the next generation and then make positive changes in this world.
That's dope. That's one of the things that when I talk about you, I tell people that
I'm a nerd.
You are a nerd.
Look at our shirt.
But
like,
yes, we're both nerds.
X-Men 1991 nerds rock on.
But it's not that, I think that you're beautiful and gorgeous. It's not just that. It's the values we talk about on this show all of the time, that you should look at a person's values if you're looking at trying to vet somebody for a long-term situation. And people want to see their front side, see their back side, and just assume that, oh man, this person is so sexy and all this and that. But then the person has trash values and bring nothing but chaos into their life. And for me, it's about peace. And for a lot of men, I'm not just speaking for me. If you ask a good bit of men what they value in life, they'll say that they value their peace. But when the peace doesn't come, it's because they've bypassed and skipped some stuff and invited chaos into the scene.
Yeah.
So we do have some people in the building, and then we're going to open up ourselves. We talk about being real and being hot, honest, open, and transparent on our podcast. And we had a situation that we had to navigate through over this past weekend. And Michelle and I talked about if we should share it or not. We're like, this is the point of why we do this.
We're sharing it.
So we are going to share what went down between us over this past weekend and just the lesson that her and I had learned from it. But before we do that, let's acknowledge some of the people that's in the building. Shout out to Tarika Smith. Said, evening, king and queen. How are y'all doing? Look, we're here. We're doing good.
Hey, we made it safely. That's all that matters.
We made it safely. We saw 2 accidents along the way. One that had already occurred, and then one that happened right as we were like, we heard it go skirt, boom. So there's a couple of people out there that's already starting their week off in a really bad way. But Tarika, thank you for popping in and tuning in on this Monday, December the 23rd. Shout out to the Harrises in the building. Said, good evening, everyone. Salute to the beautiful couple and chat. Absolutely. And said that nerds are cool. We nerds too. Hey.
Trust me. It's okay. Because we loved what we saw when we went into your house. I was like, yes, this is home here.
Yeah, we belong here. They said y'all are crazy, sexy, cool with the matching shirts. I was happy that she got these for us. And I received it, she got them, but I received it yesterday. So we're like, hey, instead of wearing our King and Me branded shirts, let's just rock the X-Men shirts, which is what we did.
And it's 1991. Now, don't get me wrong. I really, really, really wanted to get X-Men 97. And I was like, I hope he loves the characters that are on the 91 shirt. So I love X-Men. Like, love it. Favorite character is Storm. I love Nightcrawler. Is he on this one?
Is Nightcrawler on this one?
No. I think he was on the 97, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he's not on here. And then from here, other than Storm, no, Storm's my favorite on here. Storm is my favorite. I do also love Sabretooth. I don't care what other people say. Like, I love Sabretooth.
I have never heard nobody say that they're a fan of Sabretooth.
Because haters be hating.
Wow.
Haters be hating.
You think you know somebody.
Right?
Tarika got it coming up here. Tarika, I'm going to start and come back for when we get to that part. Because there leads into what we're going to talk about for the second part of our live stream, which is our main topic for today. So we'll announce what the main topic is your word is your bond. How does keeping your word or not sabotage or help your relationship? And this stems from a video that Michelle sent to me and said, "Can we talk about this?" And I watched it and I was like, "Absolutely." It's got some copyrighted music in there, but we're not monetized, so it is what it is.
Oh goodness. Okay, heart palpitations. All right,
it's all good. Okay, so let's get into what had occurred over this past weekend. We're not going to get into the actual nitty gritty because, in my opinion, it's the point that I kept coming back to. So during our last live stream, Michelle had asked if I didn't say something or if that I would refrain from saying something on our live stream. And when I assessed what she asked me, in my opinion, I felt as though what she asked me was unreasonable. And that because I found it to be unreasonable, I wasn't going to do her request. So I had explained that to her. And what Michelle heard by me saying that was that.
Oh, like I felt like you weren't hearing me. Oh, that you were, what did I say? Invalidating?
Mm-hmm.
Invalidating my feelings. Okay.
So she said she felt like I was invalidating her feelings and that by doing that, that she didn't feel seen and that she didn't feel heard. And I kept saying and repeating the same thing because I'm like, babe, it's not that I'm invalidating what you're saying. It's just that I find your request to be unreasonable and this is why. And Michelle couldn't get out of her feelings about that because and the reason why I see it that way is because you kept saying that I'm not hearing you. I'm not hearing you. And I'm like, well, and she also said, well, everything always goes, it's King's way or it's no way. And I'm like, no, that's not true. And I gave her an example of her making what I thought was a reasonable request. You made this request. I thought it was reasonable. So I made an adjustment to a reasonable request. But I said it's my opinion that just because I feel some way about something and I ask it of you or vice versa, I shouldn't just automatically acquiesce to the request just because you're asking me, especially if I think that it's unreasonable. And I'm like, I'm not doing it. And I'm like, I ain't doing it. So that was a conversation that occurred over Friday night. It was late. I had just gotten back from a road trip myself, and we kept going in circles about it, to which one of us said, I'm tired of talking about this. So we went to bed. The very next day, Michelle said that she could tell that I wasn't okay.
Yes, because he wasn't. Like, I can sense these things. And one thing I've always tried to tell you is that emotions, like, I'm an empath. I mirror the emotions that are presented before me. So if you're not okay, whether you realize it or not, I can sense that you're not okay. I pick up on those emotions and I mirror those emotions. So you're gonna be okay.
And I kept telling her that I was, but the reason why I kept saying I was is that I felt as though, like, I've said what I had to say, and I'm not changing my thoughts on this. And one of the reasons why I stated is that I said I felt like if I gave in to what you were asking, then eventually, and I kept saying, where does that stop? Where does it stop to where you ask me to do something, but I think it's unreasonable, but yet because you're asking, you're saying that I'm just supposed to do it? I'm like, no, that's not how this is going to go down.
So one thing that I said before we move on to the video, because we're on a tight timeline tonight.
We're good on time.
One thing that I had said was that it seemed like he was preparing for something that didn't necessarily mean that it was going to be able to happen. So if you're saying, if I acquiesce on this, then I'm going to have to acquiesce on something in the future. And I'm like, you're gearing yourself up and you're getting anxious and worked up about something that you don't know will happen. I was like, that's the definition of anxiety. Trust me, I know. The anxiety, that's one of the things that I know, that like when you sit here and you perseverate on what could possibly be, what could come, that's anxiety. So
we went to bed on it not being resolved.
Mm-hmm.
And 2 days later, we were planning on taking this road trip. And I'm like, in my head thinking, I'm not going nowhere with her until this thing gets resolved. And y'all, I'm just going to say, I'm going to speak from my end. I said, well, we're going to have a hard conversation about what happens when one of us deems something to be And the other person's like, I'm not doing that, because if we can't find a resolution, I'm like, then the relationship might be done. That's how I'm thinking about it. Now, hear what I just said. I'm not trying to end the relationship, but I'm trying to address something that to me is a big deal. Because to our relationships where somebody just acquiesces something and it gets to this situation where y'all have heard the stupid saying, happy wife, happy life. And I'm like, I'm not going down this path with her or anybody. I didn't know how to fully say that though, or say it any different than what I had already said. So later on in that Saturday, I called her and didn't give her much time to
Sunday.
I'm sorry, so this was on Sunday?
This was yesterday.
Okay, so we got through really all of Saturday not really saying much.
You didn't say much. I knew you had stuff to say, but you ain't say nothing.
And then on Sunday, right as like a couple hours before she was scheduled to come over so we could get ready for our trip, I called her up and said, hey, are you busy? Because you and I need to talk, and I'm 5 minutes down the road. Now, doom and gloom over here.
First of all, I'm not doom and gloom. I'm just gloom.
Gloom over here.
You're doom.
Thought that I was coming over to break up with her. And when I pulled up, her, like, she invited me in, I sat down and I said, we need to address and talk about this situation, like what's going down and what it could mean for us.
And one of the things that I shared with King is that I understand like not being okay. So like pulling on what the Harrises said, that cooler heads prevail. And that is so true. Like you have to be able to approach discussions with your partner or with anyone in general from a cool head standpoint. Because if you say something in anger, you can't take back those words. Like you can't take words back in general. So if you say something from a place of anger, there may be a level of truth to it that could have been delivered better. And it's sometimes it's not about what you say, it's how you say it. So I understand the whole cooler heads prevailing thing. But one thing that I mentioned to King is that he needs to be able to identify when he's not okay. It starts by saying, like, what does it mean to be okay? Because I asked him several times, I was like, are you okay? And he would say yes. And then I'm like, I can hear in your voice that you're not okay, but for some reason you think you're okay. So either you don't know what the true definition of being okay is, or you're lying to yourself and you don't recognize that you're not okay. So those were things that we talked about yesterday to be able to press forward and go on. And as you can see, not only are we here together, but we are matching and we're still streaming. We're still
Yep, because y'all, let me tell you, I had already knew exactly what my passport was at. I'm like, I already got the time off. I'm like, I could go to South America, Central America, or the DR if this relationship.
Look, I would have been at the bank this morning taking my passport out of the safe deposit box, and I'd have booked something. I'd have gone somewhere. I'd have still been somewhere. And then us being us, we probably would have ended up in the same exact spot together anyway.
Now, to kind of wrap this part up here, there's a content creator called How To Beast. This guy's got multiple millions of subscribers on YouTube. He's a fitness guy, but he's also married, and he doesn't do just fitness content. He does more lifestyle content. And he did this video entitled Things That I Wish.
So we may not be home with our other matching cups, but we do still have matching cups.
Yep. He did this video titled Things That I Wish I Knew Before I Got Married, or something like, if I wasn't married now, I probably wouldn't get married. But then the title was a bit misleading, but then he talked about 5 things that a man should be willing to, or 5 things that a man should understand before he were to get married. And when he went through his tips, one of the tips stood out that I was like, oh my goodness, this is exactly how I feel. Now, his content is male centered, but I think that this is something that everybody should have a healthy understanding of. So take a listen to what he said about it and let me know what y'all think.
Are you ready to put your girl in her place over and over and over again for the rest of your life? Because it's just a part of female nature that women get upset when you tell them that they're doing something wrong, or you tell them that they can't do something they want to do, and they're going to continually test boundaries and see what they can get away with. And a lot of guys can't even do this at the beginning of the relationship, and women walk all over them and lose interest right away. But some of y'all have figured it out, and you know how to do it at the beginning. But what happens is it gets tiring, man, because we don't want to keep having the same conflict over and over and over again. I even saw it with my dad sometimes growing up, where I could tell he wanted to say something to my mom, but he just didn't want to deal with it. And I continually have to fight against that. And I continually face situations where I'm like, I don't want to do this. I just want to let this go, or be upset and passive aggressive. But no, I'm going to create the conflict. I'm going to set the boundary. I'm going to allow Julia to be upset at me. You know, I know she's probably going to be upset at me the next few hours, or maybe even until tomorrow, but I'm not just going to accept something that I don't want to accept because she gets a little bit upset about it, which is what most guys do. And if that happens, well, that's when you fall into the happy wife, happy life conundrum, where you unwillingly, but you end up taking on the passive, subservient role to the woman.
Bars. Now, I wouldn't have said put somebody in their place, because I don't talk like that. But the root of what he talked about, that was what I was thinking this entire weekend. And when he said that, I'm like, this is it, because I did that in a prior relationship. I felt as though what I was being asked was unreasonable, but in order to keep the peace, or think, well, you know what, I don't want to say okay and just put it off for now and just do it, even though I knew and I felt that it was such an unreasonable thing to ask of me, that over time I built resentment and didn't know it. And then I'm just going to say this, I think when their side of the house do that often, they don't know that they're creating somebody that they will lose interest in over time, because he doesn't have a spine, essentially he's not a man. And I think you unknowingly think it's what you want when you ask some of these things. But again, if me as the man finds it unreasonable, I have to be the one to say, yeah, I'm not doing that, and be okay with you being upset about it.
And see, someone is going to come later and say, well, shouldn't the wife's opinion or thoughts, shouldn't that matter? And here's what I will say. Whether you follow Bible or not, the man is supposed to be the head of the household. I can't say whether you follow Bible or not, because that is like straight out from the Bible. Okay. So in the Bible, the man is supposed to be the head of the household. So the concept of happy wife, happy life is something that we created in more of a modern day realm. And I'm not saying that the woman's opinion shouldn't matter, like totally not saying that at
That's
all.
not what I'm saying either.
But what I am saying is that the man is the head of the household. And that is how it should be. He shouldn't be placed in a subservient role in any capacity. So,
and to wrap it up, one of the things that I was thinking, I said, well, if we have this conversation and she doesn't understand like word from this, then this relationship can't work, because I don't want her to feel as though I'm silencing her voice. That is never something that I will ever do, ever. And I'm telling you this here. I've said it in the past, and I mean that. Your voice matters. Understand that if I have a disagreement on something, or if I think that something is unreasonable, I will voice it, and we just have to figure out how to get past it.
The other thing to note is that part of how we came to a resolution is, I mentioned, for me, is when we had these discussions via text and phone conversation. I need to see and to feel. Like, I kept trying to FaceTime you yesterday because I wanted to see your face. Like, because I'm an empath, because I do better with emotions and touch and like all that stuff, I needed to be able to see you, to see your facial expression, and for the lack of a better term, I needed to be able to see see your heart in that moment, to kind of see where, don't question it. I just need to be able to see your heart, to see like where you were in that moment. And once I saw you, it was better.
Okay.
I love you.
Love you, baby. Now, the video that we have today. First of all, so look, we decided to be transparent about that. We decided to be open about it. To me, that was important for what we talk about and what we do. Also, to note, real quick, my daughter heard the entire conversation on Friday night. Everything. She was within earshot of the discussion. And initially, I thought about taking it to where it was a more private location. And I actually made the conscious decision that I felt like it was important for her to hear, because we weren't yelling at each other. I don't yell. I'm not an arguer. It's not me. But I wanted her to hear how a healthy disagreement sounded like, or I'm sorry, what that sounded like. Mm-hmm. So I didn't go anywhere. I didn't make her go anywhere. I allowed for her to be within earshot. And then later on, I asked her if she heard the conversation, and she said yes. And I asked her if she wanted to dissect it and talk about it. And she said not really, because it's too late. So, those are things right there that if your parents or if you're around children, if you can have healthy discussions or healthy disagreements, you don't always need to send the kids away. I think it's important for young people to be able to hear and see what a healthy disagreement looks like, so that they know how to navigate it themselves, or be able to go, yeah, I don't like this, and disengage from something if they become a part of something unhealthy down the line.
You know something I noticed just now? This is not the first time that we've had a communication glitch that arose from a conversation starting too late in the evening.
Okay, no more conversations in the evening. Now, for the main topic, Michelle saw this video that a content creator posted on their Facebook page, and I didn't get their name, so I can't give them proper credit here. But take a look at this video, and we're going to break this one down in a way that I think we're going to have different perspectives on it, but there's going to be some value to it. There's a lot of stuff that I agree with, but some stuff that I just don't. Let's take a look.
I need faith, faith to believe you, faith to receive you. Give me something I'm lacking. I don't need nothing. You are my everything. Only me and you. Only me and you. Only me and you. Only me and you. Only me, only you. Only me and you. Only me and you.
So it ends right while saying keeping your word is a true commitment. And I want to see if I can play it here, but have it muted and stop it at certain points. Okay, so what y'all saw, or for those of y'all listening on the audio only, is a couple sitting down, and the guy's playing his video games, right? Which is what we do. Mm-hmm. And his lady is sitting down reading a book, and he's sitting there, and he's happy and chilling and in his peaceful mode. Okay, please. And then she looks over and she's smiling. She can see the peace in him, and
she can see the peace in him.
She can see. Oh my gosh! Go! She can see the peace in him, and she goes, "I gotta mess this up."
Here, I knew you were gonna say that. Keep going.
So he stops and he acknowledges her and says, "Dinner was good, babe." And I'm thinking that's the right thing to do, right? All right. And she says, "Thanks, Papa."
First of all, I ain't calling you that.
Yeah. And then right after she says thanks, she goes, "Wait."
Internal monologue. So internal monologue time. He said he'd wash the dishes if I cook.
Now look at him cheesing. He stopped his game, acknowledged her, said thanks for dinner, and he's getting back to the game, cheesing, being happy. And right after
internal monologue,
she receives an accomplishment. That's where her mind goes. Okay. Now that smile turned to this face.
If I say something, it'll just turn into an argument. Whatever, I'll do it.
So then she sighs and hums, and he can feel that. Y'all know we can feel that.
Y'all can't feel that.
So now, as she's walking off, he's like, wait, is something wrong? I just said dinner was good. I'm telling y'all, I've done this. This is me.
You good.
And then he's sitting there and he's contemplating, and then he breathes, and then he's like, what now? We were just having a good time, right? She was sitting there reading her book, smiling. He was playing his game online with the homies. Everybody was having a good time.
Rolling with the homies.
She gets in the kitchen. She starts the dishes. And then he's like, wait, says, I said I clean. She's about to do my part. Okay. I'll finish playing it and then I'll come back to that. So he gets up. He gets off the game. He caresses her and then said, babe, I got this. All right.
He said, I got this. You go pick a movie on the couch. I'll join you in a minute.
So now, after the dishes, he's not even going back to playing games. He's got to do something that he thinks she wants to do. Yes, that is exactly how it is. So he gets in and he does what he said that, he was going to do. And now look at her. She's sitting down,
keeping his
smiling.
Promise without me asking. This is the partnership I prayed for.
And she's sitting there smiling like, yeah, I disrupted that man's whole piece. So he gets done with the dishes. He comes back. He sits down. He says, what are we watching? And then she says, whatever you want, which was the smart answer. I'll be playing He Got Game or turn on the football game.
They doing white chicks.
All right. So I want to come back to this part right here. Wait, I said I'd clean. She's about to do my part. If you said that you would do the dish, that you'd make the meal and I do the dishes, and that's what we agreed to do, great. Did you specify and say immediately afterwards? That's where I had a whole issue with this video. I know it's short. I know it's meant to convey a certain message, but at the same time, it's like, as long as he still got the dishes done, what's the issue? Why does she all of a sudden have to make it a thing right then and there?
Okay, so maybe she is like me. I have OCD. For me, if this were my scenario, like if this were us, I wouldn't have sat down to eat dinner without washing the dishes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know you've seen that when I prepared a meal for you, by the time we both sit down to eat, all them dishes have been washed.
Yes.
And everything's already set on the side, because my mind is not going to allow me to enjoy the meal if the dishes aren't washed, much less enjoy the meal, go sit down and relax on the couch, and then like sit and ponder about the dishes. So even if it's one of those, babe, I'll wash the dishes if you cook. Nah, babe, we about to be standing in this kitchen together. Like, I'm gonna give you a pot and like you're gonna wash while I cook, because I won't be able to sit down and enjoy the dinner if the dishes are still dirty.
Mm-hmm.
I can't. Like, I cannot.
Now, as long as you say that and I acknowledge that, then that's the agreement. But if all that was said without none of that additional clarifying things added to it, is that, hey, I cook, you do the dishes, then as long as I get the dishes done before the night ends, I have honored my word. To sit there in the middle of peace and do what she did, I thought was foul and wrong.
But maybe she, like many women, know that as soon as you finish gaming, you're going to be tired, you're going to be trying to go to bed, and you ain't going to try to do them dishes. You're going to be like, you know what, I'll do it in the morning.
No.
Respectfully, that's what y'all do.
No.
That is what y'all do.
You have to give him the ability to honor his word.
I will agree with that. However, I will also say, I've seen you do it where you're like, I'll do something, and then you're like, I'm tired, I'll do it in the morning. And
On the grand scheme of things, was it life or death though?
It doesn't matter if it's life or death. I look at it like, come on, like I think this is where communication and knowing your she didn't just withhold the meal and say, I'll give you the meal once you clean the dishes or anything like that. So it's like, why wait? Or I'll give you the meal after you've gained or something. Like she instantly made the meal. Why can't you instantly wash the dishes before you get comfortable? Because like that could have been such a cuter scene if the dishes had been cleaned, if they had already been washed, if that had already been taken care of.
Now, Harris Tribe, if y'all still watching, y'all have been together for a long time. Have y'all run into this scenario before? Just a yes or no, because I know that there's a delay in typing it out might be an issue, but I know that I'm not the only. I'm telling you, I've sat in the scenario of this guy and I'm sitting here trying to figure out what just happened because I'm happy. So obviously, now that I'm happy, something's got to be
your
ruined.
Happiness. Time to take your joy.
I can't stand that. Now, this is us bringing a comical spin to that scenario, but the scenario that was played out by that content creator is one that happens time and time again. The big key point that I want to put out there is, yes, guys, because I'm going to speak to the men here, keep your word. Honor your word. If you say that you're going to do something, do it. Over time, if you are known to slip, trip up, or not do what you said that you were going to do, then you lose that trust and integrity from the person that you're in a relationship with. Mm-hmm. And that can erode very sneaky without you realizing it.
Like use that dishwasher. You like even that helps. For me, it's seeing the dishes in the sink. Like I can't take that. I cannot rest. I can't.
Okay, so let me put myself on blast here. You said that I've done this in the past. Can I ask that if there's a request and an expectation of a deadline, can we have the deadline be stated?
Yes, but in all fairness, I'm trying to recall, like as I said that, I'm trying to recall when it was something directly related to me versus just something in general that you said you'd do at XYZ time, and then you didn't do it at that time. So not directly, I told Michelle I would do this for her at this period of time, but just in general, I said I would do it at time, and it got put off to the next step.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. And look, I am somebody that I'm going to say I make every attempt to honor my word. Mm-hmm. I make an attempt. It's not a 100% thing. I'm not perfect, but I try. Mm-hmm. All right. So but again, if there's ever a time where I make misstep after misstep after misstep, then eventually Michelle's going to build up some resentment and go, well, I'm not just going to ask him because he's not going to do it.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's with any relationship. Like I use us as an example, but in any relationship, whether it's from here to here or here to here, if that's present, the relationship is going to erode over time. And we're highlighting this and we're talking about it now so that you can possibly identify it in yourself before somebody else has to identify it for you. And there's nothing wrong if I'm slipping and you sit me down and say, hey, babe, lately there's been some instances where I've asked you to do something and you really didn't keep your word on it. And it's starting to make me really disappointed. Like you can say that I'm disappointed in how you're not keeping up with your word. I don't think that that's a harsh thing to say to somebody. Okay. Especially like if that's how it is and that's how you're feeling, say that. Right? Now, the flip side of that is I have to be willing to receive that and know that it comes from a place of love and caring. Right? Because if you didn't care, you really wouldn't say anything, and then you just find a reason to go, yeah, I'm out. Plain and simple. You can find a reason to just go, you know what? I don't care about this relationship anymore. I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to wait for the big thing to try to get him to get out, even though I'm already out. Because I think that ladies
here we go.
are the ones that will try to sabotage something, even though they're ready to get out. They don't want to be the one to actually pull the ripcord and seem like the bad guy.
Okay, first of all, y'all be unhappy too.
Mm-hmm.
And just think it's okay because this is what you've seen other people in the past endure. So it must be what you're supposed to go through. Y'all do it too.
Yeah, we need to change that narrative.
We do. You want to see a cute picture of my baby?
Who is that? No.
Look.
No, we're not showing that.
Look, I'm not showing it on there. I'm showing it to you.
Okay. Don't distract me.
I'm sorry.
All right.
It's my cute little baby.
So be clear on your expectations of yourself and be clear of how you want those expectations to be met by somebody else. I expect for Michelle to have a healthy understanding, then I am going to keep my word. And if I don't, say something. It's that easy to me. I can't hear something and determine if it's reasonable or not if you don't say anything. No, that's my thing. Reasonableness.
The word of the week, reasonable.
Reasonableness. What else do you have on this topic that you want to highlight?
Nothing. Like, I figured we keep it short because the reality is we are traveling. We are in Vegas, also known as Nashville. And I say we go outside and we go live our lives and we let folks have their evening and we give them back these 18 minutes.
Let's do that.
Let's do that.
So for those of y'all that are watching live, thank you. We don't know how people celebrate the holidays, whatever. Happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas.
Oh, come on, we gotta get them all. So Merry Christmas.
Okay.
Happy Hanukkah. Habari Gani.
Feliz Navidad. Is that one of them?
Yeah, that's Merry Christmas in Spanish.
Okay.
And then we got Habari Gani, which is so it's what you say to someone for Kwanzaa. And then we got Boxing Day. So shout out to my Caribbean folks and everyone else who celebrates Boxing Day. Like, go out, enjoy, be with your family.
Or be solo and sit around and play video games. Which, if we would have broken up, I might have been in the DR playing video games, but
we didn't. We're still together. We're happy. We're loving. We're happy. Like, we're good.
Give me a high five. So whether you have some people to hang around with or not, just enjoy the time. I always say the holidays are a time to recharge. Other people like to be around chaos and stuff. Not me. If y'all ain't noticed, I don't think the last couple of Christmases I've been around,
because you've been around me,
anybody else but her. And they've came out to be good. But again, I've cultivated peace in my life. Mess with my peace, then you're messing with my life, and I'm not having it. Plain and simple. So thanks to everybody that tuned in. Happy holidays to those of y'all that are going to catch the replay as well. Travel safe.
Please.
Be safe. Please. To the people that we're going to have the opportunity to see throughout this week.
I am so excited. I stole one of his friends, and I'm like super excited to see her. I stole one of his friends. I stole his dad. I stole his stepmom. Thief. I stole several people.
Thief.
And I'm at peace with that.
It's all good.
Speaking of peace.
I'm here for it. Y'all, this has been the shortest episode of The King and Me I think we've ever had. But
hey, it's fine because we about to go live our lives.
We kept up with the live. Yeah. We're staying true to it, and we will be back live next week. Same bad time, same bad channel.
Well, actually, no. Next week we'll be in like Eastern Standard Time. I mean, it'll still be the same time, but like we'll be in Eastern Standard Time because right now we're in Central.
Yeah.
So we're an hour behind y'all.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're still sexy though.
Thank you, baby. All right, y'all.
That shirt.
Yeah. We out, y'all. Peace. Bye.